world. And what we're doing inside Acxiom is studying how do you go from a marketing services organization to an identity management company with these core data assets, and what value can you create in the world that has never been created before. And you'll see here a lot of just simple examples of reference data that, as you heard Kim speak this morning, if I can go and have a yes or no and claim that which is in doubt, and I can let that transaction or I can let that claim go through. So fishing licenses, for example, all professional licenses, voter registration, all of that which you need not give your private information away. All you want to do is claim that, successfully claim that and move forward. And that's a very important dynamic. So back to the earlier slide, can I link an individual's record? And then what do I know about them? And how does that relate to all of your organizations and the things that we're trying to enable in the market, and again, with Kynetx. So one of the major areas that we're hoping, and we're working diligently, and we want to over the next coming years, is how do we build up that trust to say, yes, if that's been verified, Acxiom verified, let it go through. We're not there yet, and the market's not there yet. But as a massive organization with billions of records, hoping to create this value, create this identity that doesn't exist today, that's where we'd like to go as far as building the trust and the security, the relationships. And one other major important thing, we've touched on it a couple times in the last day and a half, but the security and the privacy. I was talking to a bunch of you last night, and that's the really, really hard stuff. And Acxiom has the scale and the capabilities to do that. And whenever I hear people make large claims or say, oh, I can do this, I can do that, well, to do it right is very, very hard to do. And when you have a scale of the data and the technology we have, we think we can help, in our own small little corner of the world, help move the cause forward. So let me just pause there. We're going to go into a couple demonstrations here, but before that, I'd like to see if there's any questions or any things you'd like to have me go into more detail on. Mr. Bird.
You know how Phil gave an example of getting to data. Can I get to your data via similar rule definition? Use that as a reason to fire a rule set?
Let me repeat. Can I get the Acxiom data from a rule?
Right now, there's two ways. There's a way you can get real-time identity verification with about 200 or 300 pieces of identity. But I think what would be more powerful is to get, as we were talking yesterday, some of that Acxiom data into the intrinsic world, so people can take that and move forward. But what's the fine balance there is, and we touched on it yesterday, what is self-proclaimed versus what is managed, or what are other people talking to you about. So, you know, we can all say we're the Queen of England. Doesn't make it so. So there's a necessary role for this and a fundamental role for this. We just have to approach this collectively to say, how is this on a security level and on a privacy level appropriate that I as a consumer can trust that and can move forward, or as a corporation to do that. So to answer your question, we're in process to do that. And you know, I'd love to talk to you, because we're having conversations as recent as 9 o'clock this morning of companies that want to put this in action today, and again, create new values that aren't there today.
Perception's reality.
Mm-hmm.
Perception being reality. When somebody looks at Acxiom, they're going to see you, I think, as Plaxo before they found the white hat.
Mm-hmm.
And is it possible to, in fact, put together a white hat moment for your company to make everybody, wow, that's a transformation? Yes,
and that's a large question across the organization. And how I approach that is, I would love 5 years from now to have business schools study, this is how you take a marketing services organization that's created enormous value over 40 years and invent the next 40 years. As a champion of consumer, as a champion of privacy, and enabling a lot of the stuff that you can go home and tell your family and friends, that's what they're doing. Yes. So there is that perception to get over. Very much similar to credit bureaus, but I think in order to get to the other side, you look at the tremendous data assets and say, what value can you create? We're expecting that initial, I don't know what's going on there, but once you say it does X, Y, Z, it doesn't do 1, 2, 3, and this is what we're all about. I'm looking forward to getting through that kind of sound barrier.
Have you quantified your chasm?
Well, it's depending on if you're talking about the identity world or the marketing world.
Crossing the chasm problem of revenues, because that's what was killed.
Oh, we have. And, well, you think about it, the question was, have you quantified the chasm that you have to get over in order to basically reinvent the organization? And I believe, just on a macro level, the financial model, I'll give you X amount of dollars for people that live in Provo, Utah that I think I know X, Y, Z about. Well, if I have the same number of people opt in and say, yes, you can market to me because you have my permission, I think that's exponentially higher. To Doc's point yesterday, what's the value of a free customer? Culturally too, it's not just within the Acxiom Corporation or other corporations. As a public, will I be, okay, that's a chasm to get over as well, to say, yes, I like golf, yes, I have children in my home, what are you going to do with my data? There's that trust relationship that has to be built up, but I think as a financial model, I think you create enormous more value than you would ever cannibalize and create much more value in the market. Someone over there? Any other ones before we go into some of the demos? Craig.
I just wanted to say that Phil taught me early on that the data was such an important part of making rules work. So I thought and came up with this idea to go with a triangle of data, the selector, and the rule set. And I thought, and I started thinking who would be best, and I thought maybe Acxiom. And somebody said, "Oh, Acxiom, they're the Antichrist of data." I said, "Perfect."
Let me call Tim. Well, I'll give you another kind of silly example. I was talking to one of the other industry leaders, and I said, I have all this really cool information. I just don't know how to, fishing licenses. What in the world are you going to do about fishing licenses? And he said, I'll tell you exactly what you do. He said, think of everybody out there that loves tying flies, that's out fly fishing, and they forget their fishing license, and they're 60 miles into wherever, and they forgot to put their new stamps on or forget it. He said, how about you pull out your iPhone and you download your fishing license for $5 and bam, there's your fishing license. Again, how do you create new value off of these existing assets? And you point traditional assets to new places in the market can create enormous value. True story. Well, we got three little examples here that my colleague Greg's going to switch over and do live on the internet. But how, again, can we add? I think Acxiom's major value initially is to enable corporations to help. I forgot who asked it on the set of the floor, but create value for your own clients. But as an example, employee discount cards for savings. We've created, just as an example of employee discount cards. So the problem is it's difficult to provide value to employees and partners. I've been in the company for just under 3 years. I had no idea we had a discount program inside Acxiom, much less took advantage of it. So Greg, if you want to switch over and search. Get a new suit. Boom, like you saw yesterday. I'm going to go right there and get my employee discount. Again, how, not only just externally facing as how can I help my customers, but also how can I help my thousands of employees or employees inside my company build some loyalty inside the company, but also, increase my overall individual experience.
So before you go on,
sure.
Remember earlier today when Kim was talking about what he does, he was saying, and that kind of interaction that you just saw
prior to what Kynetx is doing require